I want to highlight what do I mean by non-linear shifts by taking another example. All of you probably have heard of this company, Hasbro. They are a toy and games maker. Some of their toy brands would be G.I. Joe, Mr. Potato Head. Some of their gaming platforms would be Monopoly board game, Trivial Pursuits, Candyland, Scrabble. This is a toys and games company playing in an industry called family entertainment. If the year, let's say, is 1995, and you are part of Hasbro leadership team, and you have assembled to talk about strategy, you better have Box One projects. What would be a Box One project for Hasbro in 1995? How do we introduce the next version of Monopoly board game? But if you're Hasbro leadership team and you have assembled to talk about strategy in 1995, you better have projects that will make you a leader a decade from then. Leadership for Hasbro in 2005 is not about what they have to do in 2005. It's about what kinds of Box 2, Box 3 experiments they start in 1995. And for Hasbro to think about what kinds of Box 2, Box 3 experiments I should start in 1995, you have to answer another question. And that is, what are the weak signals? What are the nonlinear changes in the family entertainment industry that would demand Box 2, Box 3 experiment? Certainly, take a look at technologies. Think about how many new technology platforms in which gaming has migrated. Electronic games, video games, internet-based games. In fact, in 1995, Hasbro used to think they only had one competitor to worry about, namely Mattel. It used to be G.I. Joe versus Barbie. All of a sudden, they're realizing perhaps our industry could change from family entertainment to consumer electronics. Suddenly, I have to contend with Sony. I have to contend with Nintendo. I have to contend with Electronic Arts. This is the point that I want to drive home. If the year is really 1995, and if you're Hasbro, and you want to build significant share in the technology-based gaming by the year 2005, the job does not start in 2005. The job starts in 1995. You better start a significant Box 2, Box 3 experiment, just like the way MIT is doing a breakthrough innovation experiment. Besides technology, what else has significantly changed? Take a look at non-consumers. Hasbro's consumers in Box 1 in 1995 was American kids 15 years and younger. We know one thing. The number of children born has been declining in the US. That means if Hasbro didn't do anything, the number of customers in Box 1 will keep on shrinking. Therefore, the revenue base will keep on shrinking unless they find a Box 3 new revenue growth opportunity. Or they're non-consumers. Think about the aging of the population in the US. We have more Americans who are 60 years and older since 1995. Now, people who are 60 years and older, do they like to be entertained? The answer is yes. But the concept of entertainment for someone who is 65 years and older is very, very different than the concept of entertainment for someone who is 15 years and younger, for whom Hasbro has designed all the products in 1995. Again, this is my point. If you're Hasbro and you want to build significant growth in population 65 years and older by the year 2005, the job doesn't start in 2005. The job starts in 1995. Again, think about the nonlinear changes in distribution channels. There was a time when Sears was the #1 distributor of toys. Then it migrated to Toys R Us. Then it migrated to Walmart. Basically, there has been a tremendous retailer consolidation. What that tells me is the power is shifted from manufacturer to the retailer. And retailers like Walmart also introduce store brands, private labels to squeeze you. If you're Hasbro, how are you going to stay relevant when there is a retailer consolidation? Not only that, internet has opened up direct channels to the end consumer. Therefore, you better think of a box 3 move on go-to-market strategy. Again, think about the very concept of family entertainment since the early 90s. In fact, the very basis of Hasbro, what is a Monopoly board game? It's nothing more than an excuse to create face-to-face social interaction amongst family members. Husband and wife sitting down with 2 kids, playing a Monopoly board game, that's a thing of the past. If you suddenly take face-to-face, physical, social interaction amongst family members out of the equation, if you're Hasbro, you have to better reinvent all your gaming consoles. What else happened to non-consumers outside the US? Think about a country like India. India is a very young country. The average age in India is 24 years. That means 50% of Indians are 24 years and younger. Here is the real deal. 40% of Indians are 15 years and younger. That means there are close to 400 million Indians who are 15 years and younger. Is this a big market opportunity for Hasbro? You better believe it. But can you capture that opportunity by simply exporting Monopoly board game into India? Perhaps by changing the name of the streets. That's not going to do it. Why? Because family entertainment is culturally rooted. Indian culture is different from American culture. Perhaps in India, they may not consider building homes as a measure of success, or necessarily making more money as a measure of success. Local competitors are different. Affordability is different. Local distribution channels are different. Technology is different. If you want to capture the Indian opportunity, you have to engage in box 3 innovation. Let me pause here for a moment and ask you a slightly different question. Since 1995, we know a number of nonlinear changes have happened in the family entertainment industry. Given all those changes, what would be the box 2 challenge for Hasbro? Box 2 is about forgetting. Box 3 is about creating. Box 3 is about learning, and box 2 is about unlearning. In fact, having worked with a number of corporations, I have come to the conclusion box 2 is a bigger problem for companies than box 3. Forgetting is a bigger problem than learning. And box 2 is about selective forgetting. That also means selective remembering. In fact, one of the metaphors that I like is every organization has chains, every organization has roots. If you cut the chains, if you cut the roots, the tree dies. Therefore, you better understand what the roots of your organization are. Fertilize it, protect it, strengthen it, and keep it forever. But every organization is also held to the past with chains. If you don't break loose from those chains, you are never going to get to the future. Again, I want you to reflect. In 1995, what were the chains that were holding Hasbro in getting to the future? Here are some examples. They have to forget they are a product company. Again, I want you to think about how easy is it going to be for them to forget they are a product company. Because gaming has migrated to not just technology platforms, it has migrated to mobile platforms. They better forget they are an American company. Again, how easy is it going to be for them to forget that? Because for decades, they made money with those assumptions. Again, they better forget they're in an industry with long product life cycle. Think about Monopoly. It's a very long product life cycle. Premium price, fat margins. But what has happened since 1995? Technology-based gaming, because the entry barriers are so low, Margins are thin, product life cycle is short, but the volumes are global. This is a completely different world. They better forget they distribute their products through brick and mortar stores. They better forget their customer is American kids 15 years and younger. I want you to think about each and every one of them. The whole Hasbro team grew up with these assumptions. How easy is it going to be for them to give up these basic assumptions? You may be wondering, VG, it's always nice to talk about nonlinear shifts, things to forget, based on 2020 hindsight. What if the Hasbro leadership team met today and was debating what the nonlinear shifts in the family entertainment industry going to be in the next decade? After all, future cannot be predicted. We cannot even predict what's going to happen tomorrow. How can we predict what's going to happen in the next decade? This is where the concept of weak signals is very important. We are not asking you to predict the nonlinear shifts. We are asking you to imagine the future. As leaders, you have absolutely no excuse not to imagine the future. When I say imagine the future, what I'm asking you to do is to develop hypotheses about the nonlinear shifts. In fact, the beauty of hypothesis is it can be completely wrong. Then the job of leaders is to collect evidence to test hypotheses, drop hypotheses which are no longer valid, add new ones. And you never develop these hypotheses in a vacuum. You always develop it based on what I call weak signals. And as the very word says, weak signals could either become noise or real signals. We don't know. That is what you find out through a process of experimentation and hypothesis testing to see whether a weak signal is just a noise or a real signal. Now, let's go back to mid-1990s. Now, if you are Hasbro and you are thinking about how your family entertainment space could actually radically change, could you have predicted the huge potential in technology-based gaming? Certainly in 1995, Hasbro, for that matter, nobody could have predicted Apple will introduce an iPhone in 2006. Nobody could have predicted that. Nobody could have predicted how fast mobile technologies will actually evolve. But were there weak signals which could have told you that there is potential in technology-based gaming? Actually, if you recollect, even in the late 70s, Atari introduced a video game. Certainly, PC revolution happened in the 80s. There were enough weak signals that could caution you that there is possibility for technology-based gaming. Certainly, the Atari game was too expensive, the technology was clumsy, but we know one thing in the technology industry: productivity gains are rapid, cost curves dramatically come down. So if you're Hasbro, in the mid-1990s, you could have formulated a reasonable hypothesis based on weak signals that there is potential in technology-based games. Now, all that I have said so far looks so simple to understand. If it is so simple, why is it that organizations struggle in box 2, box 3 thinking?